Hey guys, Kev here. I just want to talk about true beauty for a second. This is the TW Price Dawn, and I got this knife in yesterday. I had the chance to review the prototype, and I really enjoyed the prototype. I loved it. In fact, if you go back and watch my video, I was a little worried about how it would work left-handed and everything. And turns out the changes he made in production, I think, actually helped with the lefty thing. There was a drop of these knives recently, and I was able to snag a few of them. Now, I snagged a few because I had two friends who wanted them, so I bought three. One went to my buddy Evan, one went to my buddy Brent, and then I actually got a Damascus kit. I got lucky there, and I didn't like it. I tried it. I prefer the purple, and I kind of just like the stock clip. So my buddy Preston bought the kit off me. And I sold all of that for retail price. Don't you worry. I didn't make any money off of it. I was just helping people out. And then I, of course, kept this one, which is in the gray titanium with the hand satin blade. And this is Tyler Price, TW Price. This is his first design. And it just baffles me at how fantastic this knife is. It really is. The milling pattern, the colors he chose. It's M390. The way the clip is designed and mounted, this screw goes through that stand up into the clip. I really don't have anything like bad to say. Now I will say one of the ones I got was off center, and then I spent like an hour. I did an unboxing, but I deleted it. I spent like an hour and a half taking them apart and putting them back together, all three of them, and testing different things, swapping pivots, swapping washers, swapping bearings. I tried all this stuff to get it centered, and I just could not get that one centered. I think it's this one. And then after a while, I put skiffs in, all of them, I think, but the stonewash one. And I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm like, I basically gave up. I was ready to message Tyler and be like, hey, dude, I got one that's just not, it just won't center up, right? And I put it back together for the last time, and boom, it like basically was centered. And I was like, what? And then I couldn't figure out which ones were which anymore because I had two that looked like this, and one of them went to Ev. So I'm hoping that I kept the one that was a little off, because if you take it apart, it might, start that again. I don't know. But it seems this one, maybe ever so slightly off to the clip side, and I think that was what was happening with the one. If you look down the center here, you can see the spine right here is not centered. It's over to this side, right? Just ever so slight, the tip is over. It's not bad. It's perfectly fine. I'm getting over it. And that's really the only issue. Other than that, both of the satin ones had the same feel, detent-wise, action-wise, really. I did put skiffs in both. I don't think it necessarily needs skiffs. Action's really good, very smooth. It's not dropped shut, but it drops to your nail and then smooth shake down. If you loosen it a little bit, you can get it to drop shut more. But I like to have it be rock solid. I do have the tiniest bit of rock if I really, really rock it. But I wouldn't really concern myself with that. It's probably more just the lock bar breaking in or something. And then the stonewashed one with the black handle, which, by the way, I did a blade swap at one point, and the satin on the black handle looks fantastic. But I kind of like this handle a little bit better, personally. That one has a little bit of a lighter detent, and I think it's honestly just the stonewash finish. I think that has something to do with how the detent feels. but they were all so close to each other in how they felt. So it's a testament to what Bestech is doing right now, and his design being so clean and consistent, you know. One of the things he changed on the prototype, or from the prototype, is he moved this relief cut inward. It was actually on the outside, and I think that was a really nice move. I don't know if he extended this choil a little bit, but it feels like it, because now I feel like I can actually use it as a choil, which is really nice. You still have this sort of sharp point up here. The way the spine comes together, it's a very thin area up there, so when you're choked up and doing this, you definitely feel that, but it's not a big deal. I can tell you these are razor sharp because my buddy Lewis was cleaning KPL off of his, and I guess he went to wipe and he got his hand on it, and he cut himself down to the bone, he thinks. So that sucks. Shout out to Lewis. Go check out Addicted to Knives. I love the little pad underneath the clip. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a little pad so it goes in your pocket. This clip works phenomenally well. This has been in my back pocket all day. I did have to Loctite the pivots. Now, I think had I left it alone from when I got them and didn't mess with them because of the centering thing, I think they would have stayed where they were pretty much. But, you know, when you buy a knife this expensive anyway, this is $290, I think, $280, which I think is a fantastic price for this. You expect to be able to take the knife part, put it back together, and, you know, all that good stuff. And you want it to center back up when you do that. And for the most part, they did. And for all I know, it was something I did that had that one go off center. But I Loctited it last night, and then today I was carrying it, and I noticed it seemed like maybe it was loosening, so I checked, and I might have broken the Loctite, honestly, but it came free. And then I just went ahead and super glued it. It's been my new trick. I know it's weird. And maybe you guys, you know, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because maybe it's not good for people to use. But I buy these Gorilla Glue kind of pens, and you squeeze that. And it just has this cap. And I literally, if I just leave it like this, it'll start oozing out. Or you push just a little bit. And then I just get the smallest little dab on the threads of the pivot screw. And then you just go in and you tighten that pivot down. And the only thing you got to remember if you use super glue is you want to put it on and then put that screw in and tighten it to where you want it right away and then leave it. It's not like Loctite where you can kind of finagle it a little bit. You know, you might tighten it too much and then back it off and then let it cure. With super glue, you got to just set it and forget it. You can't be messing around because it starts drying right away. So I just put it on, tighten it down, and I always test the pivot to where I want it first, if that makes sense. So I'll take it out, clean the screw off, clean the barrel out, and then I'll tighten the screw down and test how far I tighten it, see how the action feels, get a feel for that, and then I'll do the super glue and then just tighten it back to where that was. In most cases, like in this case, I just put the screw in, tighten it down until it was tight, and that was the perfect tightness, in my opinion, because I have no play, right? And it drops to my nail and shakes down really smooth. So that's where I just tighten it down. And then with super glue, you only got to wait like 15 minutes, if that. You know, you could blow some air in there or, you know, blow on it or something and get it to cure real quick. And then you can be off fidgeting with your knife again, which is nice because waiting 24 hours or 48 hours really is what I should be doing, is 48. It seems like these summer months are the reason why lately I've been having to use super glue. In the winter, I had no issue. It was, you know, 12 hours, you know, minimum. Sometimes it was just a couple. And I think that's just the fact that it's humid as hell here, honestly. And this isn't a review or anything, guys. This is just me wanting to talk about this knife, I guess. I don't know. If you're wondering, it's 5mm 1/16 skiff bearings. They fit right in there. Had no issue. Got something on the tang here. Got a little oil or something. Yeah, there's just something about this knife I really like. It makes me really happy that Colin and I are using Bestech for a project, because seriously, this knife right here, I struggle to think of Riot doing a better job. Really do. I struggle with that because, I mean, look at that milling. You know, maybe the screws would be a little cleaner, but I mean, they look fantastic to me. You know, this one sits a little bit differently than that one, but I mean, that's just the smallest thing. You get that TW Price logo right there. This is M390, by the way. I mean, it's just butter. The clip is phenomenal. The ramp on the clip is phenomenal. Have had no issue feeling that clip in any grip. The lock bar pressure is pretty good. I remember this one. Another reason I kept this one was because the lockup was later. The one that I sent to Ev had earlier lockup. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it was more like 30%, where this one's kind of at like 50, 60% already. Which makes it maybe slightly tougher to disengage. That's one thing I might nitpick on this knife, is the lock bar access. It looks good, and you have that chamfer, and it essentially is fine, but I do have to use kind of the corner of my finger, and I've missed it. But I feel like since I've carried it now, I've gotten used to it, and it just works really well. So it's more of an adjustment than a nitpick. This slot is phenomenal. One thing that maybe hinders it a little bit is this hump right here in the handle. So you gotta it's hard to flick it from that spot. So you have to decide to either go above it or below it, right? You're kind of like below the hump, above the hump. Above the hump, below the hump. Make sense? Now when you're flicking right-handed, you kind of just line up with the top of the slot and it flies out. The detent on it is honestly pretty soft, it kind of feels like. It's gotten better, honestly. It seems like it's kind of broken in. Takes a little bit of pressure to pop out. Good little snap in. But left-handed, I gotta say, I can be right on the lock bar and it fires out. Now, that time it looked like I almost locked it up, so maybe, yeah. I have had no issues with that, though. I just go to rip it, and I've just been able to rip it left-handed, no problem. So I'm coming at it, and I'm kind of going at the top of the slot. My finger's right on the lock bar there. Pop. I'm sure if you climbed up to here and put pressure down, yeah, see, now I can't. It took a little more pressure to fire out. But it's good news, right? Like, left-handed, I can just fire it, and it feels very, very good, and that's a win in my book. You also have, the detent is dialed to where you can do the finger roll, which I normally suck at left-handed. I can do it right-handed real easily. It's really nice to have a knife that feels really good with the flick, but still has the detent to do that, right? That's just me being on camera there. And then you have the front flip, which is pretty satisfying as well. It's got a pretty good angle on it, and she flies out. I mean, you know, I could nitpick a little bit on this area right here, making it hard to access the fuller a little bit at times, and then maybe the front flipper being a little bit thin, so to speak. But honestly, I think this thing is dialed, and it's money, guys. I mean, this is one of my favorite knives so far this year. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. If I take this knife and I take the Mini Tempest, which I definitely compare these two, right? I mean, if you look at these side by side, honestly, if you take those two and the Stinger, like if you took this and smashed them together, I feel like you would end up with this, sort of. Am I crazy? Or do you guys see that too? I don't know. For some reason, I see that. But anyway, if you take the Mini Tempest, the Dawn, the Maverick, and... Whoa, is that upside down? Whoa. And the Factor here, these would probably be my choices for knife of the year in the production category, right? There's not much else that's going to sneak in there. You know, I have my own knife, but like I'm not going to count that in here. And honestly, if I'm being objective, I don't think my knife, the Stout, is up to the level of, you know, a couple of these. In terms of like, maybe if we're talking, I do have one right here. And I can't really judge my own knife either, but, you know, if we're talking about sheer like aesthetic beauty, which has a lot to do with it, I don't know. I just don't think it would compete with the Dawn or the Mini Tempest, right? Now, if we're talking about usability and as a knife, I think this knife would be crushing, you know? But anyway, it's my design. I don't even know why I brought it up. So these would be my choices right now for knives of the year in the production category. That's how much I really, really like. Oh, one other one I would put in there is the Baby Barlow. Absolutely love the Baby Barlow. Just a fantastic, fantastic knife. Definitely, I feel like underrated at this point. Love that knife. But yeah, for sure, these two are just similar in a lot of ways to me. Having carried the Dawn today, it actually makes the Mini Tempest look different somehow. Makes it feel longer and lankier or something. It is, but I never felt like it was. They both have that fuller you can flick. They both have that front flipper you can flip. They both have that drop point blade. Excellent action. Now this is, you know, this is Riot, and you can see the level of detail that Brian Nadeau just, it's insane how much he dials Riot in. But, you know, I think Tyler is really getting to that level. I mean, I don't know. There's just something about it. The elegance, you know? Anyway, I just wanted to ramble about that part for a second there. But, yeah, 18 minutes of just blathering. Guys, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is just one of the best knives you can get right now. And then if you look at price point, you know, $280, you can get the Stonewash one, $260. The price point's phenomenal. The design's phenomenal. There's going to be more. I think he's ordering more or different finishes or something. It's just fantastic, guys. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to shut up now. But let me know what you guys think. Do you have one of these? Do you want one of these? Did you have one and don't like it? Like, I'd love to hear from people who have had this and maybe don't like it. Like, what your reasoning was. You know? One other thing that's interesting is the milling. It almost felt slippery to me at first. Because of the milling, you can kind of like slide your finger out down the grooves. But it seems to be just an adjustment. Once you know what it is that you're feeling, you don't actually slip. It just kind of feels like you might. I know that's dumb, but it's the only way for me to explain it. But so gorgeous. So gorgeous, guys. I love this knife. Really, really love this knife. I can't wait for different versions to come out. I'll definitely be picking up more of these as as he comes out with different finishes and materials or whatever he does. I'm going to be on it because the kid has an eye. The dude, sorry, has an eye for knife design. So there you go, guys. 20 minutes of me loving on the TW Price Dawn. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later.